Thank you, though.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Evanston. My name is Kiley Korey. I use she, her pronouns. Whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering this community, we're grateful to share this time together. We strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth in love and nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention, and to dedicate ourselves more fully to living our shared values. People of all ages are a welcome and important part of our faith community. We're blessed to have the children in the sanctuary for the first half of every service, and the entire service is for all ages about once a month. The nest in the front is our designated area for families with young children, where we have quiet fidget toys and activities and a kid-friendly order of service. Nursery care is available in room 11 every Sunday. As a part of being a welcoming and inclusive community, we have some information posted on the screen that will help orient you to UCE and to our service. We have an inductive loop system that works when you enable the T-coil feature on your hearing aids.
Sorry, you don't need to read that part out.
Oh, I don't need to read that. Okay, great, awesome. That's all. Just to me. Perfect. Sorry. A few announcements. The Board of Trustees will host the first of 4 Big Questions conversations next Sunday after the service. These are conversations about who we want to be and where we want to go. Please check the newsletter for more information and to register so that we can plan refreshments. Friday, March 7th, there are 3 events of note. At 2 p.m., we will celebrate the life of Marty Flint. Friends are encouraged to sign up to help with the reception. Then that evening, Fun Family Friday and the Lively Spirits Dance Party will take place. Again, check the newsletter for details. The Integrated Stewardship Council will host 2 budget town halls, Sunday, March 9th after the service, and then on Wednesday, March 12th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. All are invited to bring their questions. Also on March 9th at 2 p.m., we will host a Know Your Rights event here specifically for faith communities wanting to learn about how to provide safety amidst a regime that has removed sanctuary protections. And now Reverend Eileen will come up to give our pledge drive update.
Thank you all so much for your support of the 2025-2026 operating budget. This is the last Sunday officially of the pledge drive, but we have more to go. This congregation has created more love, more peace, more justice, and hope. And we are so excited to share that we are at 79% of our goal, or it's kind of hard to read, I know, $527,000 we've raised, so that's very exciting. If you haven't turned in your pledge drive or your pledge form yet, please do so. If you did not receive the email in your personalized pledge packet, please check your spam folder and then contact the office or the pledge team. And they will be at the back tables too to answer questions and help you fill out your form if you haven't done so already. And here to inspire us in our last Sunday, our last pitch for generosity is Steve Courtwright. Come on up, Steve.
Good morning. My name's Steve Courtwright, and I've been a member of this congregation for about 38 years. This is my spiritual home, it's Karen's spiritual home, it's Barbara's spiritual home, it's all our spiritual home. Karen and I were married a long time ago by Frank Robertson, who was the RE minister here at UCE. We've supported this church financially with our time and energy and passion all of these years. And this congregation supports me by helping me live in my values and helping me express my passions, one of which is playing my guitar. Not too long ago, I was enjoying a night out with my friend Andy Schlickman. I was contemplating retirement, and knowing that Andy was retired, I was looking for some insights. How to make such an important financial and emotional decision. I've always been a little insecure, just ask my wife, about financial matters, and had figured that I'd just keep working and avoid the question altogether. When COVID showed up, I felt bored, restless, and wanted to explore what seemed like an inevitable next chapter. What Andy shared with me was that he retired when he realized that he had enough to retire. He had enough. This is really an important idea for me now, the idea of having enough. His understanding of what constituted enough was based on his personal values and what called to him. So I was encouraged during this conversation to examine whether I had enough by examining my values. I needed to ask myself, do I need a new car every year? Do I need to have more stuff in my house? Do I need a bigger house? You get the idea. One of the ways that the concept of having enough shows up in my life is reflected in my passion for music and for guitars. I have several. And 7 of them I've built with my own hands. This is one of them. And the fun part of making things and having enough of things, especially guitars in my case, is that I decided to form a business plan that goes a little bit like this. Because I like guitars, I make one for myself, I make one to sell so I can buy more wood, and I make one to give away. I've given away 2 guitars, thank you. I've given away 2 guitars now after having built about 7 or 8. I can't express how happy it makes me to give something away that I've made, especially. So my plan supports my values, which is to find joy in giving to others, especially if giving directly supports my values. Of course, this season is when our congregation asks that each of us gives according to our values. And for me, giving to UCE supports many of my values. My love of community, my desire for a spiritual home, the chance to play some music and experience and hear music, how important it is for me to experience the idea of inclusiveness in my community. You get the idea. And that's why I'm here today. Thank you.
And I'm hoping people will have a chance to see that guitar up close after the service if they're interested. It's beautiful. Thank you. And now let us settle into our shared time of reflection, celebration, and inspiration. As we begin our worship service, those joining us online are invited to gather your chalice as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
It's been a long road
choir beautiful? So amazing. So amazing. The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on the traditional homelands of the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. This land was transferred from the local Potawatomi community to the U.S. government in 1829, sold to white settlers, and after the defeat of a pan-Indian movement to keep white settlers out of the Great Lakes region, the Potawatomi had no choice but to sell before being forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. We also remember the ancestors of contemporary African Americans, the individuals, families, and networks of Black people who built up our country's culture and economy, a role forced on them originally by enslavement. We are indebted to their labor and unwilling sacrifice and acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations still felt and witnessed today. These acknowledgments, we know, are only one small effort toward building long-term solidarity with contemporary communities. We commit ourselves to take what we learn here today and incorporate it into our lives and turn our thoughts into actions. Please join in our words of shared commitment. We name these realities with honor for all the ancestors, respect for our descendants, and gratitude for the land we use as sacred space. Bob and Barbara Mesle brought the flowers, the beautiful roses, and the white orchids are from our new guests in our building each week, Inspire Through Flowers. But Bob and Barbara bought the flowers and light the chalice in honor of Laura Etchen's healing from surgery and for her loving wife and caregiver, Deborah Daspit. As he lights our chalice, symbol of our living tradition, please join in saying the words on the screen by Barbara Wells. O spinner, weaver of our lives, your loom is love. May we who are gathered here be empowered by that love to weave new patterns of truth and justice into the web of life that is strong, beautiful, and everlasting. Please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words of our historic and living covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Before we sing our opening hymn, I invite those joining online to greet one another in the chat, and those here in the sanctuary to turn to somebody, hopefully that you haven't met before, and say hello and good morning. What a beautiful hubbub of kinship. Please stay after the service and continue your conversations. And if you're new to UCE or if you haven't been here for a while, stop by the welcome table at the back with the red tablecloth in front of the mural. And you can get more information about our community, what's happening, and how to get more engaged. Our opening hymn is number 194, Faith is a Forest by Shelley Jackson Denham, with a Chinese folk melody depicting the beauty of the jasmine flower. Now, this is an unfamiliar hymn. It's lovely. So I invite you to let the choir guide us, and when you feel ready, join on in.
Good morning. I am Emma Farrell. I am your ministerial intern. I go by any pronoun spoken with respect. And I have a story for you all this morning. Are you ready for it? Awesome. All right, this is called The Forever Tree by Margaret Silf. Once, a long time ago, a little tree was growing in the forest. As the tree grew taller and stronger, she began to notice the wide expanse of sky stretching far above her head. She noticed the white clouds scuttling across the sky as if on some great journey. She watched the birds wheeling overhead. The skies, the clouds, the birds in flight, they all seemed to speak of a land of forever. The more she grew, the more she noticed these forever things, and the more she longed to live forever herself. One day, the forester happened to pass close by the little tree. He was a kindly person, and he sensed that the little tree was not entirely happy. "What's the matter, little tree?" he asked. "What troubles your soul?" The little tree hesitated and then told the forester about the deep desire in the core of her being. "I would so much like to live forever." "Perhaps you shall," replied the forester. "Perhaps you shall." Some time passed, and once again the forester passed close by the little tree, now grown tall and strong. "Do you still want to live forever?" he asked the tree. "Oh, I do," replied the tree fervently. "I think I can help, but first you must give me your permission to cut you down." The tree was aghast. "I wanted to live forever, and now you say you're going to cut me down?" "I know," said the forester. "It doesn't make sense. But if you can trust me, I promise you that your deepest desire will be fulfilled." After much hard thought, the tree gave her consent. The forester came with his sharp-bladed axe, and the tree was felled. The sap of life streamed away and was lost on the forest floor. The tender wood was sliced into strips. The strips were planed and shaped and smothered in a thick layer of varnish. The tree cried, but there was no way back. She surrendered herself to the hands of the violin maker. All dreams of foreverness vanished in her sadness. For many years, the violin lay idle. Sometimes she remembered better days when she was growing in the woods. What a bad bargain it seemed to be, surrendering herself to the forester's axe. How could she have been so naive as to believe that this would enable her to live forever? But the day came, the right and perfect moment, when the violin was gently lifted from her case and caressed once more by loving hands. She held her breath in disbelief. She quivered as the bow crossed her strings, and the quivering turned into a pure sound that reminded her of how the wind had once rustled through her leaves, how the clouds had once scuttled by on their way to forever, and how the birds had wheeled overhead, shaping circles of eternity in the sky. A pure sound, pure notes, the music of forever. "My world has turned into music," the tree gasped deep inside herself. The forester spoke the truth. And the music resounded from listening heart to listening heart, down through the ages, until at last, when all the listening hearts had made their own journey home, it rolled through the gates of eternity where the little tree became the forever tree. The end.
I invite us now to settle into our time of quiet reflection as we share the joys and sorrows of this community. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like spoken aloud, you can write it in the book that's found just as you enter into the sanctuary. You can send me an email or fill out the form found on the homepage of our website. As we listen to these offerings, we try to settle our bodies and our minds and our voices as best we can by taking in together a deep breath and letting it out. These are the few joys and sorrows that have been shared before the service today. From Kathy Underwood, who's not with us this morning, this is a day of mixed emotions for me, she writes. Today is my son's 31st birthday and would have been my mom's 80th. 2 years ago, our dog Hagrid died, and this week my former minister and mentor Dan Brozier died from Parkinson's. I was blessed to grow in my career with his leadership, his dry sense of humor, and the way he walked his talk. He will be missed. There's lots of loss on this day, and also a birth 31 years ago. And Marilyn Robluski and Andy Schlickman shared deep sorrow about the plans in place to shut down the only programs for relocating and resettling our Afghan allies and reuniting families who were separated during the Taliban takeover in August 2022. Enduring Welcome, along with the coordinator for Afghan relocation efforts, are otherwise known as CARE. In the case of the Jamshidi family, who this congregation has supported in a number of ways, this shutdown effort is particularly cruel. Saida and Akram have been waiting for over 3 years to be reunited with her husband and his family. We just want to invite you to please encourage your senators, Durbin and Duckworth, and Congresswoman Schakowsky to pressure the Trump administration and their Republican colleagues in the Senate and House to keep these programs moving forward with appropriate funding. Sharing these concerns of the heart is part of the practice of building beloved community. Together, we know that we expand our celebrations and we lessen the burden of our grief. And part of that includes support that extends far beyond this hour each week. If you are in need of support, I want you to know that there is a pastoral care team, and they and I are here to listen and accompany you in whatever ways you might need. If you're on the pastoral care team, would you raise your hand when you're here? There you go. Thank you. Please reach out if you'd like to be connected to us. For now, if you'd like to express your joys or sorrows by lighting a candle or dropping a stone in the well of tears at one of the 3 stations, either this one here at the front or the 2 on the sides, you may do so now. And if you'd like a candle brought to you, please raise your hand and someone will bring a basket to you. Please join in saying our words of affirmation. For these joys, we give our thanks. For these sorrows, we give our love. And join me now in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Source of nourishing, transforming, and liberating love, moving within us, through us, and all around us always. Know that hearts and minds are weary here. There is so much that bewilders and frightens us in these times of unapologetic tyrants. It would be easy to forget beauty, to think joy is frivolous. Remind us, Spirit of life, of all that is good and meaningful. Give us the fortitude to refuse to surrender to this despairing notion. Guide us to merge our efforts and our energy into strengthening us collectively to resist hatred with love, to overcome chaos with steady presence, with faithfulness to each other and to what we know is good. Let us breathe in again together, beloveds. Breathe in the pain in this room, and breathe out ease for those most vulnerable. Breathe in the sorrow of all our spiritual companions and co-conspirators, and breathe out the magnificent beauty of every day and everyday things. Breathe in the burning fear of all that seems to be lost and broken, and breathe out deep, abiding, cooling love, love that is our birthright and the inheritance of all beings. Amen, and blessed be. Let us make it so. As we sing our response, our young people, preschool through 8th grade, are invited to head to their faith formation time with their adult leaders. We will sing "Go Now in Peace," feeling free to use the words that work for you.
As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with Community Renewal Society, a faith-based community organizing and public policy organization that works with congregations in and around Chicago to address issues of racism and poverty. You may text to give, mail in a check, put cash in the collection bowls, or give from our website. If you write a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering or some other giving. The ushers will now come forward to pass the collection bowls down the rows. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy.
Thank you for your generosity. Our reading this morning comes from the Reverend Kendall Gibbons. We come together because we are creatures who are fundamentally, physiologically incomplete. As much as our individuality defines us, we also need other people to make our limbic circuits function the way evolution has built us. To the core of our chemistry and our neural networks, we are a social species. Our physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual well-being depends on our connections, both to the world of nature and to our fellow humans. If we are not a part of a conspiracy, a breathing together to live and thrive in community in this planet, some essential part of us shrivels and slowly dies. Spirituality for skeptics is about keeping alive that connective tissue that makes us who we are and enables us to imagine what we might yet become. Some of that work we do alone in moments of inspiration or insight, but more of it happens in the company of other seekers, those who share the skeptical path with us, insisting on the freedom of conscience and the integrity of doubt. We do it by grappling with the deep questions and the big ideas. We do it simply by sitting next to each other, by speaking forth our joys and our sorrows, by sharing soup, by lifting our hearts in praise of this amazing earth and our astonishing lives, by making music with our blended voices. So, let us sing.
Let us sing indeed. The choir is going to sing, but we're going to ask you to join us for a part of this next piece. This piece, by the way, is also written by Reverend Kendall Gibbons, and the music is written by UU music director Jason Shelton. It's from a larger work called Sources, a Unitarian Universalist cantata. On the sheet music for this movement, it says, "Wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life." You are invited to join us in singing the melody of this piece. This melody will be sung 6 times, 1 time by the sopranos and altos alone, and the other 5 times by you. So that you may hear it, I'd like the choir to sing it once. Now, if you can join us, the words are projected at the top of the screen. Lovely. A reminder, sopranos and altos will sing it first, and then you, plus Tom Duncan and Mike Leghorn from the choir, who will be singing with you, you all will sing it another 5 times. Also, near the end of the piece, we'll be chanting peace in 9 different languages. You see that up there. Also, you see it with a handy pronunciation guide. We would like you to join us on that as well. After that, there's a free-floating, just saying the word peace in our language. You get to say it to yourself, you get to say it to each other, you can say it as often as you want until the end of the piece. And that's at the end. That's a lot. I'm sorry about all that. Hope it makes sense. All lifted hearts.
Talmud of the Jewish tradition, the sage Hillel said, "What is hateful to you, do not do to others. This is the whole of the law. All the rest is commentary."
In the Hindu legend of the Mahabharata, the divine Krishna declared, "This is the sum of duty. Do nothing unto others which would cause you pain if done to you."
It is written, it is taught. May it be so.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
In the Gospel of Matthew in the Christian scriptures, the Messiah Jesus says, "Whatever you wish that others would do to you, do so to them."
In the Buddhist text of the Yugana Varga, the student is urged, "Hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful."
It is written, it is taught. May it be so.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
In the Muslim hadith of al-Nawawi, the Prophet Muhammad teaches, "No one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother what he desires for himself."
In the Tai Sing treatise of Taoism, the seeker is instructed, regard your neighbor's gain as your gain, and your neighbor's loss as your own loss.
It is written, it is taught, may it be so.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
The Oglala Lakota spiritual leader Black Elk wrote, "All things are our relatives. What we do to everything, we do to ourselves."
In the ancient wisdom of Shinto, there is a saying, "The heart of the person before you is a mirror. See there your own form." It is written, it is taught, may it be so.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free. Shanti, shalom, asiti, salam. Hewa, Dohidi, Has, Hasomir, Shanti, Shalom, Asiti, Salam, Hewa, Dohidi, Has, Hasomir, Shanti, Shalom, Asiti, Salam, Hewa, Dohidi, Has, Hasomir, Shanti, Shalom, Asiti, Salam, Hewa, Dohidi, Has, Hasomir,
My title today is Like a Launderer's Soap. Awe. I like the sound and shape of it, that word, in my mouth. I like the word awe because it reveals mingled emotions. To experience awe can be to experience both the sacred and terror, perhaps simultaneously. Since I was a little girl, I have felt and experienced sublime awe. I hasten to add that I don't think these experiences make me special. I believe every single human is supremely gifted and can access awe and mystery. Or as the great Odetta sings, if anyone asks you who you are, you tell them you're a child of God. God is another complicated word. People ask if you believe in God as if that powerful word meant the same thing to everyone. Of course, it does not. Sometimes I ask my students to journal about their definitions of God, and almost everyone had their own unique and often contradictory definitions. My idea of the divine has little in common with the classic one, but I agree with William Blake, a lifelong mystic who didn't think we should let the evangelicals own the definition of the divine. I am also a lifelong mystic of sorts. My early experiences of awe were inseparable from trees, whom I heard crying. I believed I might have been stolen from Jewish parents. My dreams were so powerful that I felt I lived a subterranean life. I could also feel other people's pain, their heartaches beat in my own chest, and these experiences frightened me. I sensed light or a power or something I had no words for, and I was afraid of what it might ask of me. In Handel's Messiah, he refers to the refiner's fire. But who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeareth? For he will be like a refiner's fire, like a launderer's soap. Malachi 3:2. A launderer's soap? A launderer's job was to cleanse and whiten cloth. In Jerusalem, the cleansing process took place in a fuller's field outside of the city because of the smell. I had to look up the word fuller. A fuller is a person who cleansed, scrubbed, shrank, and thickened cloth. It is a messy process. Dirt and oils are removed from the cloth so that it's clean and ready to be dyed. The fullers would have had their hands full with me, I thought. I felt very messy, and I still do. As a child, I spoke to no one about these feelings, not even my parents. My mother was a progressive liberal whose theology influenced me. She was adamant that suffering was not God's will. And my father was a sweet conservative who believed that God loved him and us. I have some of each of them in me, but I am not like either of them. In 1967, when I was 17, I spent 3 days in Berlin, Germany at the Wall. This profound and disturbing experience was a normative one for me. I was convinced that wall would never come down in my lifetime. On November 9th, 1989, through the collective efforts and sacrifices of many committed, courageous, and fiercely dedicated people, it did come down. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, you know. In my rejoicing, I promised myself never again to believe that such problems were completely intractable. And just maybe no president, dictator, or ruler is omnipotent. perhaps one reason I fell in love with Bob Mesle, sorry to my granddaughters, besides his cute legs, was our mutual love of philosophy. I've had a blessed full life. I was lucky enough to have a career I loved as a professor of literature and writing, lucky enough to travel. I'm blessed with just lovely friends and family, now including 5 spectacular grandchildren. Of course, life is messy. My life has been messy. Like all of you, I have traumas to process. But my life has also been beautiful. This is how I see the world, full of woe and full of wonder. And I never know on any given day which of those will show up. Maybe both in one day, several times. If any of you is, like me, a lifelong Chicago Cubs fan, perhaps this will make more sense to you. Lots of woe, but yes, also, always, hope in the spring, and yes, wonder. With the cloth soaking in soap and water, the fullers beat or stamped it to cleanse it from impurities. Yep, lifelong process, enormous effort and energy and love required over and over. Ursula Gwynn says, love is not like a stone that just sits there. Love is more like bread. It has to be made and remade over and over again. When I was 35, I first met John Cobb, the greatest interpreter of Alfred North Whitehead's philosophy and theology. Cobb died recently, 6 weeks short of his 100th birthday, brilliant up to the last. Bob and I just returned from his memorial service in California. From John, I learned there's a systematic vocabulary for some of my weird ideas. I consider myself a process theist, which allows room for my Buddhist, Jewish, and Druid streaks. When I first met Dr. Marjorie Sue Hockey, the mother goddess of process thinking, I found my true home. Marjorie has rescued me, in a way, saved my life. Several times, especially after my precious brother Jeffrey died of AIDS in 1998. Marjorie made me a beautiful jacket with pockets. She made me beautiful jewelry, this very necklace I'm wearing today. She made me dinner. She taught me to pluck persimmons in Los Angeles and showered me with her love, her grace, and her humor. Dr. Marjorie Sue Hockey got me unstuck on prayer. Prayer is another word I don't think we should let the evangelicals divine. I like the Buddhist idea of Tonglen, the practice of taking and sending to awaken compassion. Bob and I have a friend who swims laps to pray for each of those on her heart. Bob's mother, a holy one, if there ever was, a holy woman, if there ever was one, definitely cooked and gardened as part of her spiritual practice. One reason I was stuck on prayer was because I couldn't imagine the God of love giving special blessings to people who just had more folks to pray for them. Surely God would already be doing everything God could. Also, on the first day of the first Gulf War, I felt God must be weeping. People blame so much on God when it is we who are at fault. Thank you. I asked Marjorie, do you think it's crazy if I pray for God? Dr. Sue Hockey allowed, that might be a good idea, Barbara. I love this quote from Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Fear. Tay says, despair is a great temptation in our century. Alone we are vulnerable and afraid. If we try to go to the ocean as a single drop of water, we will evaporate before we ever arrive. But if we go as a river, as a community, we are sure to arrive at our destination. My PhD is in English literature. Percy Shelley once wrote that the purpose of a play is to teach the human heart knowledge of itself. This lifelong quest is for self-awareness and open-heartedness towards others. In this quest, Toni Morrison is my kindred sister. From her, I learned a bit about traditional African religions, about the idea that all of those, the living, the dead, and the yet unborn, form a continuous link across space and time. I believe that. We are all connected in the great web of relationships. Louise Penny's novels have also been a launderer's soap to me. Penny reminds us there are 4 great mantras vital to say regularly. I don't know. I need help. I was wrong. I'm sorry. She's a wise woman. I'm a very happy Unitarian now. There are so many ways UCE is a good home for me and Bob. I grew up in a tradition I cared about with people who loved me, but I always felt their work ethic meant that however much you did, it would never, ever be enough. I wanted more time for silence, for being, not just doing. As Brené Brown wrote, it takes courage to say yes to rest and play in a culture where exhaustion is seen as a status symbol. It's lovely to be in a congregation that reminds us to care for ourselves as well as to care for social justice. I love so many things about the UCE community. I love you the vote. I love the soup kitchens and fast. I love my precious covenant group. I love the music from Gregory and the choir and Vickie that make me feel as if I bought front row tickets to a glorious concert every Sunday. You know what? I also love that I don't feel so weird here. I'm grateful for all the support you've given Bob and me, especially when Bob nearly died of a cerebral hemorrhage 7.5 years ago, and also my recent knee and hip surgeries. I feel surrounded here by intelligent, interesting, caring people, by a community. You seek the truth and you help others. These terrifying times challenge us in new ways now. Margaret Renkel, in a recent New York Times piece entitled, "Tenderness is an Act of Resistance," noticed our collective, pervasive heartaches, capital H, plural. Renkel writes, "I thought that's my job, to stay heartbroken in these times." She goes on, "In these days of fury, I'm trying to keep my own heart soft, to let it be broken." Renkel emailed a writer friend, Kate DeCamillo, to ask if Kate had figured out yet how to keep letting herself be heartbroken without becoming broken forever. DeCamillo's wise reply was this: "I fall into the mineshaft of despair over and over again. And over again, something, the moon, an eagle, the snow, or someone, a stranger who looks me in the eye and smiles, or a grandparent who tells me about reading aloud to their grandchildren, will reach down to pull me out and up from this mineshaft. I've learned not to resist those handholds. I've learned to let the beauty of the world pull me up and out of despair. I'd like to repeat that last line. I've learned to let the beauty of the world pull me up and out of despair. So every morning, I begin again, meditating to a Jewish woman cantor, remembering the faces of those I love and of those I'm worried about, which is a lot right now, just like you, trying to be more calm and curious. I begin again. Awe surrounds us all. We can touch and taste it. Love is a refiner's fire. You know what? Love is a launderer's soap. It requires a lot of us, but love returns the gift of joy, of more authentic living, and of deeper connections with others. While in deep mourning over the death of his daughter, William Wordsworth wrote a beautiful sonnet about his surprise that he could still be surprised by joy. May it be so with all of us. Beloveds, there is only light.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying the words on the screen by the Reverend Elizabeth Sell Jones. Is Bob going to be able to make it? But not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And as we prepare for our final hymn, Blue Boat Home, we want to invite you to join us in movement if you feel comfortable. Our lively spirit dance team will be leading you through 4 simple movements to embody the spirit of the song. And Elizabeth they'll all demonstrate. And you are welcome to follow along. Each movement will be repeated 4 times. So the first movement is to reach up and down, raising and lowering your arms like the waves, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then brushing side to side, sweeping arms outward. Is that right? Am I doing it right? Okay. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. And then lifting arms overhead, reaching up gracefully. Oh, this way. 1, 1, 2, 2. 3, 3, like you're backstroking, right? Slower. We'll do it slower, but I'm kind of rushing. And then the final movement on home, on the last word of each verse, sweep arms down and around in a circle. So for the first verse, we'll all stand in front to guide you, and you're welcome to do the movements either standing or seated. And then during the second and third verse, we'll start moving back down the aisles, down the side aisles, and then returning up the center aisle. And you are invited to join us in a joyful conga line, doing the movements as we go. So let us celebrate in movement together. Just as Barbara spoke about, messy and beautiful and lovely. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. May we be inspired by the words, music, and experiences of this morning, by our connections with one another and the collective spirit of this community to keep the faith with this beautiful, hurting, and messy world. May we take our courage and our efforts to be more loving and kind and to cultivate hope and possibility out into the world. Let us go making peace, beloveds. Amen.
Standing ovation. Last time we saw that at church.
Wonderful message. Thank you very much, Cindy. It was my pleasure.
All I can say is Zeigelsund.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.